Si Hua was seated in a closed, unadorned palace carriage, the kind used for minor officials or personal staff. His personal servant, a young boy named Lien, sat beside him, trembling. "Young master," Lien whispered, tears streaming down his face. "I'm scared. My friend, who worked in the kitchens, he died unjustly by the head servants there. The palace is a pit of vipers." Si Hua reached out, his hand resting firmly on the boy's shoulder, offering the solid, grounded comfort that was his nature. "I know, Lien, but you are coming with me, and I will make sure you stay by my side. You will be safe." The carriage lurched forward, slowly moving through the bustling outer streets of Xianyang until it reached the ultimate boundary of power, the imperial city. Si Hua's heart sunk as they approached the colossal, imposing vermilion gates. He pulled the curtain open slightly, his eyes taking in the breathtaking, terrible sight.
He inhaled the cold morning air, his mind sharp, his heart beating a fast, nervous rhythm. The moment the singular arrow struck the stone at Si Hua's feet, the tension at the imperial gate snapped. The guards, recognizing the unique, silent command from the high battlements, immediately lowered their bows. A cold, officious man in the robes of a royal guard captain, named Wei, emerged from the secondary gatehouse, his eyes sharp with suspicion. "You claim to return the imperial seal," Captain Wei stated, his voice flat and devoid of warmth. "And yet you approach the gate bearing a fresh wound and the stench of blood. You are under arrest." Si Hua, his resolve firm, held out the jade. "I am Si Hua of the Si family. I retrieved this from the carriage railing after a small, unfortunate incident yesterday. I simply wish to return it," and aggravated the deep, agonizing wound on his back. Captain Wei approached, his face a mask of official zeal. "Now, Si Hua of the merchant Si family, we will dispense with the theatrics. Who is your true master? What spy group are you working for? We know you were not foolish enough to come here just for a misplaced trinket." "I am not a spy," Si Hua repeated, his voice strained but steady. "I came only to return the pendant to its rightful owner before my sister could compound her mistake. I work for no one but my father." Smiling face, Wei smirked, unconvinced. "The daughter of a noblewoman and the son of a textile merchant. A perfect candidate for blackmail." He leaned closer, his fingers digging into the uninjured left shoulder of Si Hua. Then, with brutal precision, shifting his grip to the wounded right shoulder, twisting and digging his thumb into the inflamed tissue near the gash. A bolt of blinding, white-hot pain shot through Si Hua's back, making the ropes feel like iron bands. The air left his lungs in a single, desperate gasp. He gritted his teeth, forcing himself to remain silent, remembering his composure,
his Eru's discipline. He tried to think of a quiet landscape to paint, to escape the searing agony, face with symbols on mouth. But Wei dug harder, relentless and cruel. The pain was too much. The carefully cultivated calm shattered. Si Hua let out a sharp, choked cry, a sound torn from his very core, before his head fell forward, sweat slicking his hair to his temples. High above, in his secluded study overlooking the inner courtyards, the crown prince, Li Junting, was being informed. His personal retainer delivered the news with hushed reverence. The young man, Si Hua, has presented himself at the gate to return the seal, Your Highness. He is currently being questioned for attempted theft and espionage. Li Junting stood, turning away from the vast calligraphy scrolls on his desk. His mind flashed to the image of the young man's bloodied back, the defiant tilt of his chin, and the mistaken, possessive jealousy that had made him push Si Hua's head away. The intense heat of that moment returned. He ordered the retainer, "Leave the pendant with the steward. I wish to listen to the interrogation." He moved, unseen, to a private gallery that offered a veiled view into the lower chambers. He arrived just as Captain Wei was pressing the wound. The sharp, agonizing cry Si Hua emitted cut through the stone walls and pierced the prince's carefully guarded composure. Li Junting's elegant hands clenched into fists, the knuckles white against his embroidered silk sleeve. A sudden, sharp pain cut through his own chest, a visceral, unwelcome pang of sympathy and raw, unsettling regret. He knew the young man spoke the truth. The pendant was a foolish girl's impulse, not a spy's tool. Yet, his duty, his absolute need to project ruthless control and maintain the illusion of an impenetrable court, came first. He could not afford a single flicker of sympathy for a merchant's son, no matter how profoundly beautiful his quiet defiance or how intense the magnetic pull between them had felt. He took a slow, deep breath, burying the unwanted emotion deep within the cold core of his command. Fire. A foolish boy, so recklessly throwing himself against a soldier's spear merely to shield that girl's frivolous mistake. He would lose an arm for her, his intended bride. Such devotion is wasted, and such a man is ripe for a downfall I shall personally orchestrate. Li Junting muttered, his voice cold, devoid of the earlier tension. The man was caught attempting to return what she stole. The punishment must be swift, clear, and focused. He stepped out of the shadows, his presence radiating iron authority. "Captain Wei," he called down, his voice resonating through the chamber. "He is not a spy. He is merely an idiot with a misplaced sense of loyalty." The item was returned, "Captain. Therefore, the sentence of treason shall be commuted. You will administer 20 heavy strokes of the cane across his back, the full weight of the imperial court's displeasure for his involvement in theft. But his hands are not to be touched. I require him intact. Now carry out the order, and be quick about it. Prisoner is not a spy. He is a fool whose intended tested the patience of the imperial court." Wei, bowing quickly, waited. He knew the rightful punishment for a commoner caught with an imperial seal was the severing of a hand, or worse. The full penalty would be excessive, Li stated, his gaze hard, but carefully avoiding looking directly at Si Hua. Carry out the punishment. The court official, Captain Wei, knew he could not question the prince's judgment, but a ripple of confusion ran through him. 20 lashes? The rightful punishment was far harsher. He wondered why the prince had saved this one, bestowing such an unexpected mercy on a common merchant's son. Si Hua was roughly untied and dragged, barely conscious, to a smaller courtyard where the punishment platform stood. He was placed face down, the fresh gash on his back exposed. The first strike of the heavy bamboo rod was a deafening sound. With each agonizing strike, 1, 2, 3, the bamboo tore at Si Hua's already broken skin. His body convulsed, but he was too far gone to cry out again. In his study, Li Junting stood at his window listening. He counted every strike. With each crack, a spasm of pain crossed his features, though he allowed no sound to escape. He saw again the image of Si Hua's dark, terrified, yet defiant eyes, and he saw his own hand roughly pushing the boy away. The strikes felt like they were tearing at the prince's own heart, and he clenched his fists so tightly the tips of his fingers bled slightly into his palm. At the 17th strike, Si Hua's breath hitched, and his consciousness finally surrendered. He lay still, a heap of bloodied silk and rope, finally silent. The prince turned instantly from the window, the count hanging unfinished in the air. "Enough!" he commanded, his voice sharp and ragged. He regained his composure instantly, his eyes like ice. "The remaining 3 strikes are to be considered fulfilled." He walked to his desk. "Order my personal physician to attend to him immediately. Treat him with the utmost care. He is to be returned to his family's estate as soon as he is stable." Li Yungting stared at the pendant now resting on his desk, the carved jade dragon. The price of returning it was paid in blood, and now the crown prince carried a debt he did not want. For a man he should have simply destroyed. Si Hua slowly drifted back to consciousness in an unfamiliar room. The air was rich with exotic medicinal herbs and the pervasive, noble scent of sandalwood that now haunted his dreams. Soft light filtered through latticed windows. He tried to speak, but a sharp, blinding pain shot through his head, immediately followed by the searing memory of the whipping platform. 17 years of gentle, sheltered life, spent practicing calligraphy and playing the eru, had not prepared him for such brutalization. It was worth it. His sister, Si Mei, would have succumbed to fever or illness from the shock and the wounds. This was his burden, and he had carried it. Servants, silent, efficient, and clearly palace staff, attended him. Master Qin, the imperial physician, oversaw his recovery directly within the prince's private chambers. Unbeknownst to Si Hua, the crown prince, Li Junting, came to see him each day. One evening, as Master Qin prepared to change the heavy bandages, Li Junting dismissed the servants and the physician. "Leave the salves. I will apply this ointment myself." The prince could not contain the fierce, possessive jealousy that burned within him at the very thought of another man, even a trusted physician, gazing upon the young man's pale, delicate skin. It sent him into a silent, controlling frenzy. Li Junting approached the bed, his movements precise yet tense. He gently, but firmly, lifted Si Hua and held him securely in one strong arm. Si Hua was still feverish and disoriented, his body loose and heavy. The prince turned him so his wounded back faced up. Li Junting carefully removed the soiled bandages and then, with agonizing slowness, he pulled the remaining silk of the tunic and the inner ropes down to Si Hua's waist, exposing the raw, healing scars. The feel of the boy's skin, soft, warm, and yielding against his palm, was surprising. Si Hua was too soft, too delicate for a man accustomed to riding and martial arts. A blood-deep wave of primal, protective desire washed over Li Junting, a compelling urge to possess this beautiful, small creature in his arms. He looked down at Si Hua's perfectly sculpted profile, his features slack and innocent in sleep. Li Junting's eyes traced the long, dark lashes, the slight flush on his cheeks, and finally settled on his pink, slightly parted lips. He swallowed hard, his breathing uneven. Disgusting. The thought was sharp and cold. Why am I longing for another man? This is insanity. Li Junting violently pulled himself back, snatching his hand away from Si Hua's skin as if he had been burned. He quickly, if clumsily, reapplied the medicinal paste and covered the wound with a clean bandage. His duty to his lineage, his throne, and the unbending laws of the court was paramount. He abruptly left the room, returning to his own chambers to fight the terrifying, forbidden desire that Si Hua's presence ignited.